Okay, we're going to try and finish up. The worksheet here. So number 14, xy is 8, xz is 8, and xy is congruent to zy. And I want to prove that xz is congruent to zy. Okay, so that's what I'd like to do. So let's start with our given. Length xy is 8, length xz is 8, and segment xy is congruent to segment zy. That's all given. So I could say that xy and xz are equal. Transitive property of equality. If A equals B and B equals C, then A equals C. And that means the segments would be congruent from the definition. And let me see, we want to prove xz is congruent to zy. If A is congruent to B and B is congruent to C, then xz must be congruent to zy. That's what I wanted to prove. That's a transient property of congruence. 15. Okay, NK and NL are congruent. NK is 13. And they want us to prove that NL is 13. So NK is congruent to segment NL. Length NK is 13. Well, we know that length NK equals length NL because of the definition of congruent segments. We can substitute in 13 equals NL. Substitution, property of equality, and let's switch these around. And that is the symmetric property of equality. 16. QT and TS, they're congruent. RS and TS are congruent. Okay? So all three of these are congruent. I could show that with a transitive property. That'll let me set these equal and then solve. So segment QT congruent to segment TS. Segment RS is congruent to segment TS also. That's given. QT and RS are congruent because the transitive property of congruence. That means the lengths are equal because of the definition congruent segments. And that means we can substitute in from our diagram 1/2 14x plus 8 equals 6x plus 8. That's just substitution. Okay, we could either distribute this out or multiply and get rid of the fraction. I'm going to go ahead and multiply both sides by 2. So this gives me 14x plus 8 equals 12x plus 16. And that's the multiplication property. Subtract 12x. That's a subtraction property. Go ahead and subtract 8. Subtraction property. And we'll need a step 8 here to divide by 2 for the division property. Okay, let's check our work. These are equal, so let me see. 14 times 4 is 40. 56 plus 8 is 64. 1/2 of 64 equals 6 times 4, which is 24. Plus 8 is 32. 1/2 of 64 is 32, so this checks. So it looks like my answer is pretty good. See if we can finish up this last one here from our first worksheet. Wow, these numbers came out pretty small, so I hope you can read those. 3x minus 8, 4x plus 15, 2x plus 3. And they want us to find length xz. So they want us to find this length. They tell us that wx is congruent to yz. Alright. So wx is congruent to yz. Means the lengths are equal. Means I could substitute in 3x minus 8 equals 2x plus 3. Okay, this was the definition of congruent segments. This is the substitution property of equality. Subtract 2x gives me x. That's the subtraction property. We'll add 8 to both sides. That's the addition property. And then we'll see what that gives us. So we get x equals 11. But we wanted to know the length of both of these. So we're going to have to do a little more work here. So xz, length xz equals xy plus yz. And that is the segment addition postulate. So length xz equals 4x plus 15 plus 2x plus 3. That's just substitution. And 8, let's combine those terms. 4x, that's 6x plus 18. And now let's substitute in our 11. Multiply it out. So it's just combining like terms again. And that's 70/84. Okay, well that was a long proof. I'm not sure if I remember doing this in the solution, so maybe I stopped here somewhere. So we get the length of xz, and that's the end of that video.